What's up, y'all? Boy, Big Ken, Fiyah Session Podcast, back season 3, episode number 4. We got a very special guest in the building, my guy, Kevin Kelley. Yeah, we're gonna jump right in, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on today.
Oh, no problem, man. It's my pleasure, man. People ask for certain people, and maybe like, when you gonna interview this guy? When you gonna interview that person or whatever the case may be? But I have overwhelming responses of you got to get the guy that owns Kitchen and Cocktails on. We got questions to ask, and we want to pick his brain. We want to talk to him. We want you to ask him questions. So I'm like, you know what? I think we can make that happen. And we've been working a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I had to get my chops up, you know what I'm saying? I had to do a couple of seasons before I could say, you know what, let me get him on because I know I got questions to ask. So we're going to hop right in, man. We want the people to know, first of all, who Kevin Kelley is before we get into all the other stuff that you do, because this dude does a lot of stuff, people, a lot of stuff. But where is Kevin Kelley from?
I'm a Dallas guy. I was born in Arkansas, but I've been in Dallas for the past 30 plus years, man. So I'm a Dallas guy. I went to school in Dallas and Richardson and Garland, college in Oak Cliff, law school at the University of Houston, and back on to Dallas again, man. So I'm a Metroplex kid.
Okay,
Metro- yeah.
and that's very dope. But tell the people what college you went to and what your major was.
Paul Quinn College. That's how we're linked up too, through Paul Quinn.
Yes,
And,
sir,
at Paul Quinn,
indeed.
I was a business administration major, and that kind of gave me a lot of the foundation of the background of some of the things that I'm doing right now.
Okay, yeah, because that's definitely what I was going to ask you. You know, you said you're a business administration major, but then you have a degree in law as well. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you went to law school after you left Paul Quinn.
Yeah, so I did Paul Quinn for, Paul Quinn is a 4-year college institution, but I was there for 5 years because I was having such a good time. My time at Paul Quinn, man, it was great, man. I had a lot of good internships at a lot of major corporations. I worked in advertising, worked in marketing, but my path was to do law. And so I moved on to the University of Houston. I had options to go to SMU, to Tulane, to U of H, but U of H was a good fit for me. Down there in Houston, I worked at ExxonMobil, a few other places, and came into contact with some really influential people. Some of them who encouraged me to open my own law firm. And so I came back and opened a law firm in Dallas with a partner and had some success with that. And that's kind of fueled me to where things are right now.
Okay, so what even made you think, you know what, I want to do law? Like what even spawned that idea to even get into that field?
A few things. You take it back to my roots. My grandma would always say I argued a lot. I was always taking up somebody's case. So she was like, hey, this kid here has to be a lawyer. He's always arguing about something. I've got friends who say that to me right now. But wanting to fight for people, give them justice, wanting to do something that was higher level. When you talk about success, you always hear people say, well, I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a lawyer. And being a lawyer was something that happened to fit for me. I didn't have a background in science. I wasn't too good with math, but I could argue with you, and I understood how things were supposed to work logically. So, a lawyer was what kind of fit for me.
Yeah, I can see that. And see, the thing is, people often look down on. I joke all the time. People often look down on debate team, and that's where some lawyers, come from and get their roots from the debate team and learning how to formulate arguments and things of that nature. But I'm like, it's people on Facebook every day that you could swear they could go into a law room to a courtroom and argue because that's what they do every day.
Nah, you know what? I'm living proof that if I've done it, anybody can do it. I didn't have the best academic background as a kid. I kind of got better as things went along, but once you dedicate and commit yourself to something and you decide you want to do it, you can definitely pull it off. So, there are a lot of people on Facebook who probably should be lawyers and just chose not to pursue that path. But even beyond just wanting justice and wanting to do something that was higher level, I want to make money. And you see the people who want to be basketball players, they want to be football players, they want to run track. But there are more rich lawyers than basketball players, football players, track athletes. And I think we need to steer more of our kids in the direction of practicing law, being doctors, being entrepreneurs, because that's how we can have success that's beyond 3, 5, 6 years or however long an athletic career is.
That's spot on. And speaking of being dedicated to something, um, we're on a personal tip right now. So let's talk about being a father. We're both fathers. We talked about that a little bit before the show.
Sure.
And you highlight your boys a lot on your social media. So let's talk about being a father and what that means to you, and the things that you're tailoring your sons to do.
You know what? For me, that's a chance to kind of do things over. You've been a kid before too, and you're making mistakes and you're developing now. You're doing some things right, some things wrong. Having kids is a chance to get all those things right that you did wrong. Now you've got a ball of clay that you get the opportunity to mold. And maybe you weren't great when you were 7, 8, or you weren't at a high level, but you can say, "Hey, I want you to be at a high level, so we're going to do things different with you." For me, I've been able to experience some success, but I see the people who've had so much more success than I've had, and so having sons is an opportunity to say, hey, we're gonna try it different. We're gonna test tube you, and we're gonna see what we can do to make sure you're actual greatness. And so with my boys, I've got two sons. I've got a 16-year-old named Kevin. I've got a 14-year-old named Christian, who's about to be 15. And I've got a third boy named Ethan, who's not my biological son, but he's been with me since his dad died of cancer when he was 13. So been mentoring him, and he's like a son to me. And with these three guys, everything that I do in business, I give to them. My ups, my downs, they see it all. When times are high, when times are low, it's really, really important that they experience the good, the bad, that they get those lessons, because it's giving them an education, so to say, an MBA program that I didn't get until I was 25, 30, 35. But these kids are getting it at the age of 14, the age of 16, the age of 22 years old. So, not only me with what I'm doing, but you've got other parents who may just be school teachers, who may just be doctors, lawyers, whatever we may just be. We have an opportunity to put our kids in great situations because we show them what we do, and we let them learn from our examples at an early age instead of at a later age. And so that's something that I really, really, really push parents to do because it makes a difference.
And I think that's key that you let them see your downs, because I think often kids see so much of the good stuff from their parents that they're in shock when they get out into the world and things start to go wrong. And they're like, I never saw my dad have to go through this. I never saw my mom have to go through that. And to see the downside and to be able to deal with it mentally, and you help them, deal with it mentally at this point, that means when they become adults, they'll be prepared for both.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing you want as a professional or as a person is to get kicked in the teeth when you're 26, when you're 28, 30, and you can't mentally, adjust, or you don't know how to deal with it. So for me, it's important these boys see my losses at an early stage and that they take their own losses too. And so the younger two, these guys are soccer players. They're both ranked in the top 50 in the country. The youngest one's in the top 10. Um, but with that success that they have, and again, the 16-year-old, he's represented the USA since he was 12 years old. He's been in national team camps, was recently in Europe for a tournament a year ago before COVID. But these guys get injured. They don't make rosters they may want to make. They may not go to certain games they want to go to. They take so many losses from playing sports, but it's important because it's teaching them how to, well, they're learning what L's are. They're experiencing them, and they're deciding, how do I adjust? How do I deal with these L's? Do I quit? Do I continue? Do I fight for more? Or is it not me? And so, having them in their own pool, but also giving them the experience in my pool and saying, hey, come over to Club Vivo and work for the night, and understand if we're losing 10,000 on a night because our bottle service times are 30 minutes instead of 15 minutes. Come over to the restaurant and understand, okay, well, maybe we're making good money today, but our customer service ratings are down because it's taking us 30 minutes to sit guests instead of sitting them immediately. And then balancing that with, well, hey, we have to have a hot restaurant too, and there still has to be demand as well. Or having them come to the law firm and saying, well, hey, we haven't settled any cases this month, but then maybe the next month we settle $10 million in cases. So having them exposed to all those things is what puts them in a position to, mentally learn, to adapt, and to hopefully be better when their time comes.
And see, I often have a mentality of something that, the as we call him, but the president of Paul Quinn College, Michael Sorrell, he always tells us a loss is just a lesson. And
For
when we
sure.
say L, we don't mean loss, we mean lesson. You learn from it. So, don't get down about things that you don't achieve or that you might not be great at. At some point, you can achieve greatness, but you got to go through certain levels to get there. So you have to go through some of those losses so you can learn how to actually, succeed. And when you get to that level which you want to be at, you can stay there because you know what it took to get there.
Yeah, and even speaking about Mike Sorrell, I mean, he's just a great example. Period. He was one of the first lawyers, actually the first lawyer that I had a relationship with. He mentored me when I was in college. He helped me write my personal statement to get into law school. When I got kicked out of college, he was on the board of the college, so he went down there to get me back in school. I mean, so he's been an influential guy for me as well. And so, speaking of him, I want to give you a shout out for this podcast because the information I was able to get from him at an early age, the times are different now because you've got social media, you've got Facebook, podcasts, Instagram. What you're doing is you're putting people in a position where the same information he shared with me can be shared with the masses because of this. So shout out to you and your partner for the podcast.
No doubt, no doubt. We just trying to do what God put us here to do, man. I can run my mouth and I can talk with the best of them. So I said, hey, let me put that to use and let me try to help some folks out with the information that I was given because Prez gave me the same information, if not more. I tell you, people like this, man. Being around Prez is not easy at times. He's very rough on you, but he's right. You know what I'm saying? He sends you through things, through these trials and tribulations, but you learn and you remember the lessons that he taught you because you went through certain things to get there. So
No
shout out to
doubt. And I remember the day he was getting me back into school when we were walking around the campus. He cussed me out the whole way. Every time he told me how many hundreds of dollars an hour he was making that I was costing him by him having to screw around with me, but just a pure class guy who did what he had to do to make sure I was a success. So shout out to him.
Definitely. Big shout out to Prez and everything he's doing at the school because it's amazing. And I'll tell you this, there's a lot of people, a lot of doubters who doubted him years ago when I was working there and when I was a student. But he's made them into believers and he's making a lot of great things happen. So shout out to Prez and Paul Quinn College because without them, neither of us would be sitting here right now, probably.
For
That's for
sure, for
sure.
sure.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about you say your boys play soccer. So what is your favorite sport?
At this point, soccer. I love soccer.
Okay.
It's an international sport. I've lived in Spain for 4 years. I lived in Paris for a year, and a lot of it was soccer related travel. So what I would do is I would work 5 days in America, and then I would spend 10 days in Europe, another five in America, another 10 in Europe because they were in European academies. But soccer is my favorite sport because you meet so many people from so many different countries. I've got good friends from Brazil, from England, from France, from Spain, from so many different places. But the soccer ball is what connected so many of us. So I appreciate the ball a lot because of that. But even living in another country, that wouldn't have happened were it not for soccer. And so when you go to Spain from being in America and being in Dallas, you understand what it means to be the immigrant. You understand what it means to be the person who you speak a second language, which English was. And so it humbles you in a way. But also being in a situation like that, it taught my kids what it means to be the underdog, to not know a language. And now they're fluent in French, they're fluent in Spanish. But without soccer, they don't have those experiences. So for me, soccer is very, very special to me.
Okay, okay, and you know what? I kind of set you up. I kind of set you up for something that I like to do every week. I do differently based on the guest that I have. It's called Start Bench Cut. I'm pretty sure you've heard of that Start Bench Cut. So with you,
I haven't.
because you
So
like,
I haven't. So this is about to be interesting. I never played start bench
okay,
cup
so
before. So,
okay, so Start Bench Cut is I'm gonna give you three names. You're gonna have to start one, you're gonna have to bench one, and you're gonna have to cut one. So for you, my friend, I know you like soccer. So I picked three soccer players, and you got to start one, you got to bench one, you got to cut one. So I hope I don't butcher these names. I've heard them, but I don't know, specifically. Okay, first one, Lionel Messi. Second one, Cristiano Ronaldo. And the third one is Pepe.
Pepe. There's no Pepe. You may mean Pele, an older retired guy.
Pele.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ronaldo. I'm starting.
Okay.
Um, I am benching Pele, and I'm cutting Messi. That's interesting because
Wow.
people say Messi is the greatest player ever, but I'm starting Ronaldo because for me he's one of the greatest players ever. But he's known for his legendary work ethic.
Okay.
Messi is seen as a natural player, a natural great, but Ronaldo outworks every single body that's out there. But even beyond being somebody who outworks people, he's got a good story about having a father who was an alcoholic, who died from alcoholism, who wasn't able to support him as much because of his illness. Um, what he does now, supporting his mother, his siblings, that's a phenomenal thing too. And even there's a story about him when he was in Sporting's Academy, Sporting Lisbon, where he played at when he was a young boy, and they were going to cut a boy who was friends with him. And Ronaldo's a Portuguese guy. When you look at him, he looks Portuguese, but the guy who's going to get cut is a guy who looks black. And so he was really, really tight friends with the guy. And he said that if they were going to cut that guy, they needed to cut him too. And he said that the guy could even stay in his room the next year in the academy to ensure that he made it. And so just to see how he's for everybody gives me a lot of respect for him paired with his work ethic. So I'm a big Ronaldo guy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. For me, I'm not gonna even lie to you. I think I played soccer with eighth, ninth, and 10th grade. And then I was like, nah, this ain't for me. I played goalie. That's all I knew how to do.
Right.
They tried to teach me forward and all these other positions. I'm like, nah, I'm not. That's a lot of running. This is a big field for y'all who don't know. Soccer field is bigger than the football field, so that gives you an idea of how much running goes on.
Right.
And at that point, I wasn't as tall, but I'm 6'5", 300 pounds now. That's not for me, y'all. It wasn't going to be for me. So I got out of there quick and just continued to play football. But I thought those questions would be interesting because, like I said, for me, I'm not a big soccer guy, but I knew you were, and I knew that those names will probably mean more to you than most people out there. So shout out to you for giving us the backstory on him as well, because from the work ethic that you talk about, I immediately thought about Kobe. With Kobe's birthday being, I think, yesterday or the day before, like that's the same type of thing that you saw with Kobe was his work ethic, and that's what people talk about, how hard he worked.
Right. Now he's a nasty guy. You know, a lot of the people that be respected in sports and business are. And when I say nasty, I mean guys who are just ruthless when it comes to accomplishing their goals. You know, they're going to train harder than other people. They're going to work the number of days, the number of hours that are required. And a lot of people don't have that in them. So when you see people that have that special trait, you've got to respect them.
Okay, so to me, that sounds like you're talking about yourself a little bit there, because I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things that you're doing, and we're going to get into the different things that you're doing with the restaurant, with the club, and with your law firm, that's a lot. That's a lot of hours. So you have to have a ultimate work ethic to be able to do those things and to do them at such a high level.
Yeah, each day and each life, each opportunity to live life is a beautiful thing, man. You know, so the fact that I may have multiple jobs or multiple business interests is a good thing for me, and I don't look at it as a complex thing or a conflicted thing. It's pretty easy for me, and it's easy because I've got great people around me. You know, at my law firm, I've got people like Patricia Morgan, Aaron Brown, Mike Ashton, Chris Petrie. Those people keep things stabilized. At my club, I've got a GM, Carlos Fidela. At my restaurant, I've got a phenomenal GM, Rico Spears, great chef, Vanessa Brown, great manager who's going to Chicago, Jamari Brooks, who's going to do a great job. And so, even with the club, Marissa Harose, Bruno Guarda, I've got some really, really good people around me. And so, even though I might work a lot of hours, they're working with me. So, it's easy because I've got greatness around me and not necessarily myself, but the people who are with me. And those people make each day a walk in the park.
Well, I mean, just like anybody that's doing anything great, they're never gonna toot their own horn. But y'all already know. Y'all see what he's doing. Don't let him down. Talk himself. I understand. Everything is a team concept. You got people like Jordan. You got people like Kobe who were great and they played with great teammates. But you know what I'm saying. You are piecing everything together, and people are following your lead. So that's very, very dope to see that, and that you're putting these people in opportunities to be successful as well. You know what I'm saying? So you're feeding other people's families and providing opportunities for them. So that's very dope as well.
And you know what? I'll keep it a buck, as they say. I go hard, man. And a lot of
Hmm.
people see the success and they see, well, you're driving this, or you own this, or you have that. But they don't see that I work 7 days a week. They don't see that I work 75 to 85 hours a week, depending on what's going on. You know, a down week for me, a vacation week may be a 50, 55-hour week. But most people want to work 40 hours a week. And I can understand wanting to do it. But there's a whole lot of other things that I want in this world other than rest. And so I'm going to put the time in. And those are the things that I'm trying to instill in my children and the team of people around me as well. You know, work your 7 days a week. It doesn't mean don't enjoy your vacations. It doesn't mean don't enjoy your family meals, the things that make you happy, whether it's dining in the right restaurants or hanging out with people. You can do all those things too. But you can still put your time in to aspire for greatness or to work to achieve greatness. In this world, we all want things, man. You know, you drive down the street, when I pull up to my restaurant, sometimes I'll pull up and I'll park my Ferrari in the front, and people will take pictures by it, and occasionally somebody will ask, can their kid sitting there, and cool, no big deal, and it looks great, but they don't understand that I have to work 7 days a week to be able to have something like that. Or they see the restaurant, oh, it's cool to be the owner of a restaurant, but they don't understand the financial sacrifices that come with financing your own restaurant, with developing your own real estate. So it's a lot that comes with it. And I'll say this, I've done it, so anybody else can do it too. I'm not saying anything that can't be done by anyone. That was one of the probably the best things my father told me, is that if somebody else has done it, then you can do it. And there are people watching this podcast that can do it 10 times at the level that I've done it. Uh, but will the work be put in? And everybody's going to say they're going to put the work in, but 9 out of 10 ain't gonna do it though. And that's not being arrogant. It's not being rude. That's keeping it a buck with you. You got me on your podcast for a reason, and I'm not gonna get on here and sugarcoat shit, as they say, or not keep it real. I'm gonna tell you how it is, man. You got to grind and you got to hustle. These are the things that I tell my kids, and everybody don't want to do it, man. 9 out of 10 don't want to do it, but those who do want to do it, there's something good out there for them.
Hey, and that's why I tell people all the time, you always want what people want, but you don't know what they had to go through to get it or what they had to do to get it. So until you had that conversation with them to figure out what they did to get what they got or what they went through, a lot of times people aren't willing to do the work that people do and go through what people have gone through in order to get what they got. So
Yeah, and I think some of it's education too, because it's not as hard as it seems or as it has to be. Some of it is conditioning, and this is what people don't understand too from a business perspective. I've had people who have come and worked for me who are used to working 40 hours a week, but when they shift to 60 hours a week, man, they're worn out, they're sick, they don't feel good. It's a process. You build yourself up to that, and I think if you're committed to being better, to trying to achieve greatness, like I'm trying to achieve it myself. I'm far from great, but I'm working for it, right? And so in the process of trying to achieve it, I'm trying to build myself up. No different than an athlete. And so you look at, for example, you look at a track athlete. They're not going to start off running. Usain Bolt didn't start off running a 9.6 from the beginning. He may have been an 11 flat guy when he was young, but he kept working and working and working on a specific skill set to be a great track star, and he ends up being the greatest ever. And when it comes to business, I think that's something you have to do too. You work and you work and work at specific skill sets, but you can also develop your work ethic too. Because my work ethic wasn't always great. I've been a 35-hour a week guy because I was getting money. And so why work 50 hours a week if I'm working
yeah,
35 hours a week and I'm seeing a real bag, right? But as I got a little bit older, I started to evolve and get better and better and understand that, well, you work more because you can achieve more. And even though you are having success at 35 hours a week, can you really respect that when you know you can do so much more at 70 hours a week and 75 hours a week? So things kind of shift. And so
yeah.
when
So
let's go to the math of that, right? What does
okay,
that mean mathematically? Okay, so that means maybe you work from 7 to 7, Monday through Friday. All right. You eat at your desk. You're not taking lunch. So you got 60 hours right there. So on Sunday, on Saturday, you want to take it easy. And so on Saturday, we're going to work from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So that means you still got time to go out Saturday night. And then you got all day Sunday to rest. And then by the time Monday comes, you're refreshed and you've worked a 70-hour week. You've done twice as much as dang near everybody else.
mm, that's something to put into perspective, people. Like he did the numbers for you, and he put it out there for you. So those people who want to work a 9 to 5, we're not down in that by any
No, not at
means.
all. Not at
we
all.
we we never talk down on the 9 to 5, but you have people, and some of the people watching this, you have hopes and dreams, and that's all they're going to be until you put the work in and actually make them come true. And it's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require some sacrifice. So
And let me back up what you're saying too. I'm definitely not knocking anybody who's a 9 to 5, 40-hour a week person, because life is more important than just business, than money, than acquiring things. It's about the pursuit of happiness too. So you have to be happy with yourself and with what you're working for or with what you're relaxing for. This is what happens to make me happy. This is me. But I'm sure
yeah,
somebody can get on here and they can speak about their 40 hours a week and why that makes them happy and why that's living the best life. And that's something to be respected as well. But this is my time. I'm giving you what I think.
and that's right on. It's right on point, because everybody's not built to work 70 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? Some people just cannot function like that. So I totally respect anybody who goes out and goes hard like that for what they believe in and what their passions are. And it sounds like to me you have multiple passions, because to be able to have that type of drive in multiple things, you have to have a passion for each thing.
No, for sure. You know what? My biggest passion is serving. I love to serve. So when you look at my law firm, I've done this for a number of years, and I've recovered over $500 million for people who've been injured or killed in accidents. And so, for me, that's a special thing because families come to me when they're at their worst of worst, when their husband's been killed, their wife, their child, or something like that. And so, my obligation is to hold the people accountable who caused the accident, who caused the negative situation that led to them having to come to my law firm in the first place. And That's the front end of it. But the back end of it is we're making sure kids have the money to go to college, that families have houses paid for, that they learn to invest, that they're changing the trajectory of their family through a bad situation and they're making it a positive. Now, when you transition it and you're talking about kitchen and cocktails, that's a whole different type of passion and a different type of service, but it's fun too. I've got a staff of about 100 people that work there. We've served over 200,000 people in the past 12 months since we've been opened. And for me, it's an opportunity to give them a good meal, to make sure they can have a good drink, because you never know what somebody's going through. Somebody could be suicidal, but maybe they hear a song that makes them feel special. Maybe they hear "Happy" by Pharrell in the restaurant, and their perception of things changes.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got somebody who's having a hard time in their relationship, and all of a sudden, "I Like" by Guy plays, and they're excited about what they hear with that song, and it makes them think about their significant other. But then you transition and you talk about Club Vivo that I own as well. That's a different situation. You're talking 12 hours a week, 8 to 12 hours a week of pure partying. And people need that too. And so the
Yeah.
people that we have come in and out of Vivo, those people are special to me because we get to serve them. We get to make sure the club is designed right, to make sure that the proper DJs are there, the right artists are coming in, to make sure it's designed in a good way. So when these people who've had a rough work week, when they work their 70 hours a week and they want to hang hard on Saturday, they come to Vivo and see what's going sold out Saturdays at Vivo. They can drink, have a good time, and they feel phenomenal about what their hard work has led them to, whether it's a special section, a special drink, or meeting a special lady. So, all those things come down to service for me, trying to ensure people have the right experiences.
Okay, so let's get into the service piece and let's get into your initial interest in being a restaurant owner and a club owner. Like, what initially got you into that? Because, law is not a natural transition to owning a restaurant and being a club owner. Like, so how did that happen?
You know what? From a restaurant perspective, with my law firm, we would always go out to lunches. We would eat at all the restaurants in Dallas and hang out for an hour, hour and a half. This is in my 40, 45-hour weekdays, right? We'd sit up in restaurants for 2 hours and just enjoy ourselves and say, man, it would be great if one of us had our own restaurant. And so the opportunity came to invest in a restaurant in Houston, and I did that. I financed that, and that project went well. But being from Dallas, Kitchen and Cocktails gave me the opportunity to create for the city that I'm from. I own the building that it's in, and the space had been empty probably since the building had existed, or at least for decades, right? And so we developed that space. We brought a restaurant there, and the people of Dallas have been really, really welcoming to the restaurant, including yourself. And so, even though it's not a natural transition from law to the restaurant industry, it kind of is in a lot of ways. And I say that because what I'm understanding now is success is transferable. And so if
Mm,
you're a hard worker in one field, then that success can transfer to another field. And so I didn't understand food and beverage in the beginning, but I understood working hard. I understood being detail oriented. I understood reading contracts. I understood building a team. I understood compassion. I understood caring about other people. And all those things came from having a law firm. And so you transition those traits over to a restaurant. And that's one of the reasons that I've had success, because I've been trained at such a high level as an attorney where every single thing matters. And it helps me in the restaurant industry. And my restaurant's far from perfect. We're new, we're 1 year old, and we've got a lot of development to do. But being an attorney has been a major, major thing for me. As an attorney, if you're 2 minutes late for court, you could lose your case.
yeah.
So we look at things from a different eye. If you're an attorney and you pull up in court and you got a baggy suit on instead of a custom suit, maybe you're being looked at differently by the judge, or maybe the insurance adjuster on the other side is going to offer you 800,000 for your case instead of 1.1 million for your case, because they don't think you've seen that kind of money before anyway. And so, okay, well, when we're in the restaurant, we're not going to wear t-shirts. We're going to wear chef jackets throughout the restaurant, because we want to be a little bit different, because we want the people who come to the restaurant to understand that we've served before. And so all these things kind of transfer from one place to the next place. But that's what got me into food and beverage. And it's been fun. And even with Dallas being successful, now we're about to open our restaurant in Chicago in October. And so that's going to be a phenomenal thing, because the Chicago location is said to be twice the size of Dallas. Dallas is 5,000 square feet. Chicago is 10,000 square feet. So we're excited about that.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I was definitely going to ask you about that. We've been seeing a lot of advertisements for the Chicago piece. So how did that come about? From you going from a Dallas kid, growing up in Dallas, you open a Dallas restaurant, and then now you're opening one in Chicago. How did that Chicago, transition?
Before anything else, I'm a people person. I love people. And Chicago just has a lot of really, really dope people. They're nice. They've been warm. They've been phenomenal. I love the food there. And it had to be somewhere that I wouldn't mind being. And so Chicago was just a natural fit for the restaurant. And so we're excited about it. The city has embraced us really, really well. We're building a phenomenal team in Chicago, and I think we're going to do some great things there.
Okay, okay. So I want to also ask you about when we talk about a lot of time is first. You've had your first case. You know what I'm saying? When you first started doing law, you had your first day at the restaurant, you had your first night at the club. Can you talk about those for a minute? Your first case, then your first night at the club, and your first day at the restaurant. Talk about those for me.
Yeah, man, my first case. I won't forget the first case. As I was a young lawyer, um, I was down at the traffic ticket court just trying to get a case. And so a person saw me walking with a briefcase and they said, "Hey, are you a lawyer?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm a lawyer." I'm 3, 4 days in, right? So he says, "Hey, I have these traffic tickets. Can you help me out?" So I looked at all his tickets and, I gave him a fee and I told him it was going to cost you $700 though. And so the guy paid us that $700 and I split it up 3 ways: myself a third, my partner a third, and the firm a third. And man, it was the absolute best thing, man. I'll never forget that $233 I got to take home. So that was a special thing for me. With the
All
with
right.
the restaurant, when you're talking restaurant first, man, I remember that first week. We hoped the restaurant was going to do well, and we were excited. And again, this is my first time running my own restaurant with 100% ownership and responsibility. So I thought I was a smart guy. I had one GM and I had a manager. And the manager wasn't fully trained in food and beverage, but it was somebody I can trust, my relative Rico, who actually is my general manager over Dallas and Chicago now. So he's over everybody, but he was learning the business at the time. And so the GM that we had, who was experienced in everything, a guy named Manny, he ends up quitting the day before we opened the restaurant. And
Wow.
so now you fast forward, we've got 5 managers in Dallas, but when we opened, we had only one manager. And so Rico did everything he could to keep this restaurant running. I was there. My frat brother and my brother Chris Petrie was there. He helped take over the restaurant. My brothers Aaron Brown, Mike Ashton, we all came down from the law firm just to commit ourselves to the restaurant to ensure that was going to be successful. And even thinking about that first night, we were sold out from the beginning, but that first night was phenomenal for us because it was packed. And it was in the middle of the pandemic. And so you're in a situation where people hadn't been out of the house. And so
Yeah.
we had a hard time that night, man. We had a hard time turning over tables. Some customers didn't get their food. It was a lot of craziness going on, but a lot of it was just that people were out. And so even
Yeah.
when their 2 hours were up, they just wanted to look at each other and talk to each other because it was a beautiful thing. And so, that was the first with the restaurant, and then with the club with Vivo, man. Vivo seems like it's kind of a first all the time that I'm there because Vivo is just exciting as a club. Um, Vivo has different artists that come in, different talent that comes in, whether it's DJs, musicians, and I guess when you go back to that first night, that was special for me because a lot of my best friends had come to see Vivo. My best friends from Houston, who I'd gone to law school with, Jason Payne, Over Dunk, Damon Reed, Tim Carter, Byron O'Neill, all those guys came, and so that was a really, really special thing for me to see those guys come up from Houston to support me and to enjoy the club, and all the people who work with me in Dallas too. And so we had the aerial artists spinning from the ceiling. We had the phenomenal talent that was there, and so that was fun too. And so now that we're 4 months into Vivo, I guess that would be May, June, July, like 4 months into Vivo. I mean, it's a fun project. It's different for me because I'm not really a club guy. And when I bought that building, well, when I was first trying to buy the building, I said I'll buy it, but I do not want to own the club. And so I ended up not getting the building because I refused to buy the club. And so it came on the market another time. And so I didn't have a choice but to buy the building with the club too. And that's how I
Yeah.
ended up getting into the club industry.
Okay, okay. Well, hey, you know what? Fate has a funny way of making things happen for you. So, yeah, your
Sure.
opportunity came back around again, and you jumped on it. And now look at how everything is going, it's coming together. So, it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a fun thing too. I like to work. I enjoy my job. I feel like working is a blessing. I feel like I've got an opportunity, whether it's people who are unemployed, people who have jobs that they don't like. I like my job. I'm really happy. I like to serve. I like working with the people that I work with, and to get up and go to the law firm in the morning, and then to go to the restaurant in the middle of the day, and then to go to Vivo at nighttime, certain nights. It's a really, really beautiful thing for me, and I've got a great team that allows it all to happen. So I'm really, really blessed, and I'm really, really thankful, especially for my team and for the customers who support us with all the concepts, including the law firm.
Okay, so you said that your 1 year anniversary has already passed, correct?
That was August the 21st.
August 21st. Okay, I figured that was it was somewhere around there. Okay, and to open during the pandemic, when I first saw it was opening during that time, I was like, well, this is going to be interesting to see, how people are going to react. Are people going to be like, no, I'm not going to go, or are people going to be like, I want to get out the house? You know what I'm saying? So when I first started seeing all the pictures and the video of people waiting in line, and people, I'm like, wow, this this really turned into something big quick. Like
You know what?
it was it
I've never been prouder to be from Dallas. Um, this restaurant did phenomenal from the beginning because I'm from Dallas and I've got so many friends, so many relatives, and they all rallied behind this concept and said we're going to support it. I mean, there's a reason that when we launched the restaurant, it was all over social media and it dang near went viral. But the people who supported the restaurant, who forwarded the stuff from the beginning, they were fantastic then. They're fantastic now, and so I'm very, very thankful to all of them as well.
okay. So you making some good segues for me. You said viral. Okay, so it did go viral. It did go viral. So we had what I call twerk gate. That's what I call it, where you had a situation where there was some music being played and some individuals thought it was a great idea to get up and stand on the furniture and twerk. So when I first got wind of it, people were like, "Hey, did you hear what happened at the restaurant?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Nah, I missed it. What happened?" So of course, I look up, I see the video. Then the next thing I know, it's all over the news. I'm like, "Whoa, this thing is far past like social media." Like it went to all the major news sources. It was everywhere. And when I saw Harvey Levin talking about it, I was like, "This is this huge." So, like when in your mind, when that happened, when you approached the individual that was doing that, did you ever in your mind think this is going to be something that's going to blow up?
Well, I don't feel comfortable discussing this subject.
Okay.
I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey,
No, no, we're good. Let me tell you what was in my mind. I was just trying to make sure the restaurant was respected, man. When I walk around the restaurant and my staff tries to stop me from doing it now, I'm just there to thank people for being there because I'm
yeah.
appreciative of them coming to the restaurant. So that's the only reason that I was in that area because I was touching tables. Hey, I'm Kevin Kelley. I'm the owner. I just want to personally tell you thank you for coming to the restaurant. How was everything? Because when I've gone to restaurants and that's happened with me, I've been really appreciative. And
Yep.
so that's what I made my practice. And so when I came across, the table the first time, the second time, the third time, hey, I'm a human being too. At this point, I'm thinking about this grandmother who's sitting three tables over who has a baby with her. And that's not the scene that she wants. And I know she doesn't want it because I spent 30 seconds talking to her and I see the kind look in her face and I see the baby who's with her. And I'm already concerned maybe she's sitting too close to the DJ booth. So let's get this woman moved to a better spot. I'm thinking about what this concept is. I've got a number of kids who have been in shelters, women who've been abused that I fed in this restaurant also. And when I feed them in the restaurant, they're happy because they look around, they like the surroundings, and they feel proud of the place. I don't want to diminish the quality for them. And even beyond that, I've got a lot of people who really, really work hard so we can have something for ourselves as people. And I'm not going to let any person destroy that. And that was the reaction that you saw. Could I have used a better use of words? Yeah, maybe if I didn't say the F word, but if I didn't say with ups come downs and with downs come ups. But if I hadn't used the word fuck, then it's not national news. Then I'm not on TMZ. Then we're not discussing it. And I didn't need that for myself because I've always tried to stay behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I've been getting it for a while, and I've stayed intentionally not talked about success or business or other things, but this forced me to come from behind the shadows and talk about this concept, talk about what I want for my people, and it caused other people or led other people across the country to have those same conversations, whether they agree with me or whether they don't agree with me. And so by the time it was all said and done, you have millions of people who thought I was wrong, but you got millions of people who said, hey, we appreciate what he stands for and what he wants for our people, because we've seen the worst side of being black, of not having good restaurants, or when we have a restaurant, we can't go in there. Maybe we want the wings there, but it's a hookah there. And maybe we don't want smoke around us, or maybe it's a certain type music. And so what we're trying to do is build something that's better for our people, where people of, you can sit there with somebody that you love and you can enjoy the chicken and waffles, but you can also enjoy the music, and you can enjoy the people who are there and what they look like and how they're carrying themselves. And so that really was the overall mission for it. The people that it happened with, I ain't mad at them. You know, things happen sometimes. I think we've all been out before and we've been drunk or too loud or too rowdy or something like that, because it's life and humans are human. So, you know, I don't fault them at all, but you know, things happen sometimes. But I stood up for myself. I stood up for my brand, and I do it 100 out of 100 times again, because I believe in my cause. I believe in my purpose. And, you know, I'm not just trying to build something for myself. I'm not trying to just build something for my kids. I'm trying to build something that the community can see, and they can say, well, hey, he's done it. We can do it too, because I understand that ultimately my success doesn't mean isn't contingent on somebody else having success as well. My success is based on me, and I want other people to say, this entrepreneur has opened a restaurant this way. We can open one up this way too. We don't have to have women twerking in our spot for us to have success. We can have good food, and people are going to come just because of that.
That's dope. And the reason why I brought that up also is because it became a subject of discussion lately when the great poet Nasir Jones kind of mentioned the situation by way of his lyrics. And I don't know if some of you all have heard the song. It's called Brunch on Sundays. And this is the lyrics. Y'all can see the lyrics. Bottom is Bellini's, afternoon sun, girls twerking on the table. They just having fun. Leave them girls alone. You the owner of what you own. So when you heard that, like, what was the first thought in your mind? Or did somebody hit you up and say, "Hey, man, you need to listen to this song because I think it might be some correlation between the event that happened at your restaurant and you know what I'm saying you."
Yeah, yeah, he was definitely talking about the event. You know, the first thing that came into my head was, you know what, Nas owns a restaurant too, and I've been to his restaurant in New York. And from what I saw from his restaurant, he wouldn't want people twerking on his tables. And I've been to his restaurant. I like the place. I enjoy the place. It's not on the same level as my restaurant, but I can guarantee that from what I saw, he wouldn't want women standing up on his tables and putting their hands on the glass and twerking either. Ultimately, it's entertainment. You know, so
Mhm.
he put a line out there to try to get some I don't know, to hang on people. But I think the song is great. Nas as a rapper, I'm a Jay Z guy. I haven't been the biggest Nas fan, but I'm a very big fan of what Nas has done from a business perspective. I think he's done a great job as an investor and as an entrepreneur. So I've got respect for the guy. So that was what came in the head with me, into my head. So I'm not asking you to get in the studio so I can make my own diss track or nothing like that. Nah, it comes with musicians and entertainers, man. It's no big deal at all.
Okay, okay, and you know I gotta ask this. Did you reach out to the man and say, "Hey, man, when you in town, you know I've been to your restaurant. Why don't you come check out my restaurant? Since you know, say you dropped that bar, come holler at me when you come to Dallas."
Nah, we don't do that. We've got a lot of fantastic people who come in the restaurant every single day. And to
Okay,
us, who's come to the restaurant 6 or 7 times, that's a superstar to me. But the fact that
okay.
somebody makes music or has put out a song, it doesn't move me. But the people who come in and support us all the time, you being there multiple times, you're our star. So you're who our focus is.
Okay, yeah, and I know a lot of other people who go on a regular basis and they talk about it all the time. Some of y'all have been 10, 15 times. So y'all already know how great the environment is. And people, if you have not been, go to Open Table. And I'm giving you the game. Go to Open Table, find Kitchen and Cocktails, and click the get reminder. So when the appointments come open, you can go and, you know what I'm saying, sign up for it.
Or how about they just hit you up too? We give you a certain number of reservations. So if they hit you or DM you after this podcast, we'll give you up to 10 reservations you can have over the next 30 days. How about that?
Okay, yeah, well, we can do that then. Y'all heard the man. Like, y'all hit me up. We got 10 spots. They gonna go fast. I'm already telling y'all. So y'all hit me up and we can get you in the door. Cause there's a lot of y'all that complain and y'all hit me up because y'all was in my DMs when this man came to a post that I shared and was actually interacting with the people on the post. So people saw that and said, you know what? Let's ask Ken. Hey, Ken don't run nothing. Ken don't
Your
know.
followers are smart. Your followers, they know you the plug, man. They're smart.
Hey, man, I just try to do what I can, and luckily for me, I've been blessed to be around people that are of certain influence. So if he got you in, he got you in. It wasn't Ken, okay? So say thank you to Kevin because it wasn't me. I can't do that. I don't have that type of power. So, okay. So let me ask you this: being from Dallas and having an establishment like this, and well, your restaurant, and then having your club open now, like, how does it feel for you to be, you know, a kid from Dallas and to have such, you know, what I'm saying, booming establishments in your own city? You know, what I'm saying, giving people somewhere to go.
Man, I feel really, really humbled because people come out and support. I'm no different than anybody else. So anybody who's watching this podcast, you know what it's like to have a party and to hope that people are going to show up to your party. And it doesn't matter whether it's a birthday party for a 7-year old for your child, or whether it's you having a party for a 30-year-old or 31st birthday or 40th birthday that's special. You have that feeling about people coming. So the fact that people come to the restaurant, to the club, or that they support my law firm, I feel really good and I'm really humbled by it too, because it's not that I don't deserve it, but I'm just really, really thankful for them coming out. But there's also another feeling that comes with it as well. I'm really appreciative too, because I've got a lot of good people that work with me. Beyond these concepts, I've got somewhere between 230 and 250 employees, and these people work really, really hard and they care. The dope thing about it is 98% of them are black or brown. And so we're giving jobs and opportunities to people that you don't see when you go to Nick and Sam's, you don't see when you go to Del Frisco's, and you don't see when you go to these white restaurants. And so we're bringing them in, we're teaching them food and beverage, and we're giving them an opportunity to advance themselves, to provide for their families. And, these people who work for me, I don't think they're going to be servers forever or hostesses forever. There are going to be some people who are going to be entrepreneurs, who are going to be doctors. Some may be lawyers, because we've got some students as well. And so for me, I'm really thankful to give them the opportunity, but I'm really, really thankful that they believe in me and believe in the vision that I have and that my team has, and that they're willing to work with us. So those are some of my thoughts on it.
Okay, and the next question I have for you is: so what is the most difficult thing about being an owner? About being an owner, you're the head of a law firm. You have a restaurant, you have a club. Like, what's the most difficult thing about being an owner?
For me, the most difficult thing is access to opportunity. And so even though I've got concepts and I own real estate and or whatever else, it's still a barrier for somebody like me to get to the next level. I've got other concepts that I want to bring to market, but will they give me the real estate that I want? I'm in the process now of looking at other buildings in the Dallas area to purchase, just because the real estate that I want to lease, they're not willing to give it to me as a black owner and operator. And one of the reasons they're not isn't because of what we're generating per revenue, because we're doing better than the white restaurants, we're doing better than the white clubs. But it's because when they look at our profile, they know who's going to come. If I open another concept, it's going to be a primarily black concept, because our community deserves more, needs more. But these owners of the real estate, they understand that also, and it makes them hesitant and unwilling to give space up. And so we've seen inferior people get space that we should have. We've seen undercapitalized people get access to property that we can afford, that they can't afford. But it comes with the game. So that's probably the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur.
Okay. And are there any other big projects that you got coming that you could talk about or that you're working on outside of the Chicago restaurant?
Yeah, not that I can discuss. The Chicago one
Okay.
is really the baby now, and that's coming soon. But we've got some other phenomenal things coming to market the Dallas hadn't seen before. So we're excited about that also. And again, I've got some great creators on my team, man. I've got some really, really good people who work hard, who are thinking of the latest food, thinking of the latest drink, the latest way to entertain people. So we've got things coming.
Okay. As I kind of close out, I just want to ask this question about legacy. I know you got boys, what I'm saying, and you have people that are around you that look up to you. But my question is, when people discuss Kevin Kelley 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, what type of impression do you want to leave on people when they talk about you years from now? What type of legacy do you want to leave?
Hopefully more of what they've seen so far. I think this is just a preview of what's to come. I consider myself a ruthless finisher with the projects that I've had so far, but there's so many more projects that I want to undertake. I hope that some of these people who work with me can branch out and do their own thing. I would hope that I can train or give opportunities to the next level of chefs who are going to open a restaurant, to the next club owners and operators who are going to open their own clubs, to the next level of attorneys who are going to open their own law firms and recover millions for people. I think that would be good for me. But ultimately, my legacy is really going to be my kids. I want to make sure these boys are titans. And I want, again, as I've said online before, I want to make sure that my ceiling is their absolute floor. So the things that they're
Mm,
seeing now, I don't want them to look down on them, but I want them to understand that the things that I'm accomplishing are not good enough for them. Yeah, sure, we may own, this, we may own that, but you've seen this, you understand this, you've read this playbook, you've seen the financing documents, you've seen the profit and loss statements, the balance sheets, you've seen the bank accounts, you've seen the cash, you've seen the checks, you've seen all the stuff. So understand this is nothing compared to what people are doing at a higher level. And so if they can understand that, then we're doing the right thing. And that's ultimately what I want my legacy to be, what they're accomplishing. But beyond financially and acquiring things, what they're doing for people. Are they giving opportunities for folks? Are they working to give scholarships to kids? Are they working to donate funds to charities? Are they hosting political fundraisers so the right people can get in office and support our community? So that's really what I hope my legacy can be. And that's something good for the community that's reflected in them.
Okay. And the last thing I always like to ask my guests is, you got any advice for anybody watching that is interested in being an entrepreneur, interested in law, interested in restaurant industry, interested in any of these things? You're such an influential person. Do you have any advice to give to them?
Yeah, I do. Study others. I study others all the time. Studying others is what can give you a playbook on what they've done to have success. And it doesn't mean that you have to create the same wheel, but you can reinvent the wheel so that it's one that works for you. If you find somebody that you admire, then look at that person, build a relationship with that person, talk to that person. And maybe they can't tell you everything, but maybe they can tell you some things or give you access to some things that can help you out. But that's probably the biggest thing. And again, if there's something that I've done, somebody else has done, uh, then look at those persons and say, you know what, I can do it too. I can definitely do it too. So that's probably the best advice I can give.
Okay, well, that's very dope advice. People, you got Kevin Kelley. He's got concepts. He's got the Kelley Law Firm. He's got Kitchen and Cocktails, and he got Club VIVO. So he gave y'all the game tonight. He gave y'all all these gems that he dropped. I hope y'all were paying attention. If you weren't, we will replay this episode on Saturday at 1 p.m. You can always go to the Fiyah Session Podcast page and check all the videos that we have on there so you can get caught up. But I'm telling you, this video is definitely worth the watch again, because I guarantee you he said something that you missed. So hit the rewind, go back, check out the video, get your game up, and one day you too can be an entrepreneur, can be pushing the envelope, can be doing things that you really care about and really are passionate about. Because I'm telling you, people, the things that he's doing is not easy, and you have to be passionate about it. So you already know what we always talk about on here: passion over paycheck. Some of you all are working for a paycheck now, but you're actually passionate about something else. Well, you can get that paycheck to be working towards your passion, because that's ultimately what's going to bring you happiness in life. So with that being said, y'all, we're going to let y'all go. We're going to let y'all get back to y'all lives. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Once again, thank you, Kevin Kelley, for
Thank
coming
you.
and dropping his knowledge on us and coming and letting us know the real. Y'all, tune in each week to the Fiyah Session Podcast, Tuesdays at 7:30. We re-air on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Y'all can always go to the page, as I said before, and check out any videos that we have posted. You can also go to YouTube at You See It Productions and check us out on there as well. Y'all already know, y'all can come check me out anytime on my page. But I warn you guys, if you come to Big Ken's page, it's a different animal on that page. So I do get a little crazy. I do post a lot of memes, post a lot of jokes and things of that nature. So, Kevin might not have time to see some of the stuff that I post. And I'm glad, because he might look at me a little differently. But I appreciate you, my brother, for coming on. Maybe we can have you back again, and we can talk about the new concepts that you have coming, because I know you got big projects coming. So he couldn't talk to us about it today, but we're gonna talk behind the scenes, and we're gonna try to get him to come back and give us that information. Go ahead.
Let me say one last thing too, that I didn't get to express during the interview, but I want to thank everybody who supports the concepts, everybody who follows me online, who follows my team online, because man, this is my success is an example of how dope our people are. Our people have been phenomenal. For the most part, they don't hate on me. They just back me. They push these concepts. And so the success is because of the community. But I want to give a special shout out to everybody who backs me and just say thank you very much, because I really appreciate it. And I owe that to our community, and they're going to get it back from me. So thank you.
All right, y'all. Well, y'all heard the man. Also, 10 spots. I got 10 spots. Hit my DMs and they go fast. So if you don't get a 10 spot, then that means you were too slow and you wasn't paying to the show. So that's your fault. So I don't want to hear you DMing me or hear you when you come up to me talking about, Ken, how can I get in the kitchen and cocktails? I gave you an opportunity. So y'all holler at me. Kev, once again, we appreciate you. Y'all already know it's the Fiyah Session. Y'all can holler at me every day. Peace.